Hello. Like Pastor said earlier, I'm the college and career pastor here on staff. I'm the new guy on the block, so thanks for letting new guy get up here and speak a little bit. Hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. Maybe he'll let me up here again someday. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just excited to be up here. It's so fun. And I just want to brag on the college and career ministry a little bit. I've been, like, my expectations with this ministry have just been blown out of the water. It's been crazy just to see just the hunger for the word and the hunger people have had to just be in community together and just to even dig into discussion about tough topics in faith and in life, just seeing just awesome engagement and excitement about that. And it's so clear and evident that there's just been such a hunger in this area and just in our church for this age group, kind of this young adults. They're just like hungry and ready for community and just excited to have a place. And so we're just so blessed to have just at our church here a ministry for young adults, because that's not something many churches have and not something that many is available for many young adults, like where there's a specific ministry for that. So it's just really exciting and really awesome to have the opportunity. And I just want to say thank you to you guys just as our church body, just for the support you've shown me. And just, I feel like you guys have made me feel just so welcome, and had so many of you come up to me and just say, hey, we're praying for you. We're excited to have you on staff here. We're excited about this ministry. We believe in what the Lord's going to do through this. So I just want to say thank you for just believing in this ministry, for welcoming me, making me feel like I'm just a part of the family here. And I just want to ask you to continue to be praying for this ministry, for these young adults, these 18 to 30-year-olds in this area. Keep, when you think of it throughout the week or whenever, be praying just that the Lord would continue to just be moving in this ministry, building this community, and reaching young adults in this area. It's so needed, and we just want to continue to see the Lord move. So yeah, just would love if you'd think to pray for this ministry. But again, it's an honor to be up here, and I'm sure many of you know me, maybe some of you don't, but this is my home church, and it has been since I was a little baby. It's practically born and raised right out in these seats, in these pews, in this building. So it's really awesome to be up here, kind of a full circle moment for me, because in this same room, I received calling to be in ministry, and have had just calling spoken into my life. And so in the same room where God spoke calling into me years and years ago, I get to be up on this stage stepping into that, and walking in that. And so it's just really, really a cool moment for me, and I don't take it for granted. This is very serious to me, and so I'm just honored and blessed to be up here sharing with you all. But I have a little story I just want to share. So I'm sure many of you, maybe if you knew me when I was a little kid, you would know I was just an absolute angel of a kid, just perfect, never did anything wrong. You see my mom, Rachel, you can even ask her. I never did anything wrong. I was just the most perfect child. I'm kind of messing a little bit. I was actually a little bit of a terror when I was a kid. I've mellowed out a lot now, but there's horror stories of my mom making me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then she cut the sandwich into triangles instead of squares, and so I would scream bloody murder at the top of my lungs until she would make me a new sandwich. And so I was kind of a handful. But no, really, I was, for the most part, growing up, I was a pretty good kid. I always wanted to, obey the rules, wanted to do things right. I was kind of the goody two-shoes in school and stuff like that. But I have to confess, I did have my one weakness, my one downfall, and that was I was a little girl crazy growing up, just like maybe many, young men are. But yeah, I remember the first real crush I ever had was in 6th grade, and I was going to a little private Lutheran school, St. John's, in town here, and there was this girl in my class that I sat next to, and her name was Alyssa, and I thought she was so pretty, and she even wore makeup, and that was like next level. If you wore makeup, because not every 6th grader was allowed to wear makeup yet, so it was like, oh, she wears makeup too. Ooh. And so I thought she was really cute, and then I never talked to her, of course, but just knew, I kind of liked her. And then I remember one day, I remember this very vividly. It's really funny that this like just sticks in my head. But my sister came up to me. We were at my house after school, and she came up to me and she was like, "Isaac, I heard that Alyssa likes you." And then I remember in that moment, I was like, "Oh, what? Alyssa likes me?" I was so excited, just so ecstatic about it. And then so I was like, "Oh, now we could like sit by each other on the bus, and maybe I can talk to her or whatever." So I remember we'd sit by each other on the bus after school, and we'd sit there with just a big grin on our face, not talking to each other, but we got to sit by each other. So it was something. And then she didn't live too far away from me, so we'd walk home with each other after school, getting off the bus. And I remember one day she held my hand and sparks flew. And then 2 weeks later, we broke up because she didn't buy me the right candy on my birthday. But, just silly stuff. And then I remember my first real, girlfriend, official, relationship I got in was my freshman year of high school. And I was just, again, this little private school kid coming into the big, big, scary world of public high school. And I was just this shy little sheepish kid that nobody really knew. And I was in study hall, and there was this girl that sat next to me in study hall, and I thought she was kind of cute, but she was talking me up and talking to me and stuff and just being really nice and friendly. And so she kind of stuck out to me right away. And then so we started, over a couple weeks, started becoming friends and getting to know each other, whatever. And I was starting to think, oh, I kind of like this girl. Maybe I want her to be my girlfriend. And then, of course, I found out she liked me too, again, through a friend who texted me. So I thought we, grew out of the sending your friend to give love messages to each other. But I guess we were still doing that in high school. But anyways, I found out through a friend texting me saying, "Oh, she likes you. You should ask her to be your girlfriend." And I was like, that's a good idea. So being the good boy that I was, I went to my dad one day after school, and I asked him, I was like, "Dad, there's this girl I like. I would like to ask her to be my girlfriend. I want to date her." And so I asked him for permission to do that, and he was like, "Yeah, son, you can go for it. Just here's some things to be thinking of, some boundaries to be aware of. Make sure that, you want to be aligned in what you believe. You want to be equally yoked and things like that, And so I was like, yeah, okay. And so then ended up asking her to be my girlfriend, and we dated for a little bit. And as time went on, after a couple months, started to realize, maybe this isn't the best relationship. Started to realize we really didn't align in just about anything, in just what we believed, and just our faith was nowhere on the same page, and just what we, just morals we had and things like that, just didn't align. So just started realizing it really wasn't a good relationship to be in. And so we ended up breaking up, and it was tragic and sad and horrible and heartbreaking, and we loved each other, but we just can't be together, and just sad, and it feels like the whole world's falling apart when you're a little freshman going through heartbreak. And looking back on this time in my life, I was thinking, why didn't my dad, when I went and asked him for permission, why didn't he just put his foot down and just say no? Because I'm pretty sure he kind of knew that this is how this relationship would have ended up. I think he kind of knew that it was very likely that this just wasn't going to work out, and that it would probably just end in pain and heartbreak. So I was wondering, why wouldn't he just say no, just put his foot down and say, you know what, this isn't the best thing to get into. But I was kind of thinking and realizing that I think maybe my dad realized that the lessons that I could learn through going through that process, and the character that could be built to me through this experience was more important than my initial discomfort or keeping me all safe and bubble wrapped and never making a mistake. Right? My dad was willing to let me go out and experience life and maybe make some mistakes a little bit, because he realized the value of being able to learn how to find for myself what I believe in and what I need to stand for, and things that I'm going to hold to, right? And so sometimes the purpose and the result of the process you're going through is more important than your initial comfort or just feeling good all the time. And right now, our country, our world is which is not a surprise to any of us. It's not in a very good place. It's full of a lot of chaos, a lot of division, and a lot of stuff that I'm pretty sure all of us are just, ready to be done with. I think we're all getting kind of sick of it, kind of tired of just the way that the world is. And it may kind of feel like, why? Like, what is going on? Lord, what are you doing right now? Why do things have to be the way they are? Why can't we just get back to how normal, But we need to be careful not to rush out of the season that God has us in right now. We need to be careful not to miss what God is doing right now. Because, see, God is still in control. God is still sovereign. He's not sitting up in heaven in his throne looking down and going, oh, shoot, a pandemic? Whoops, didn't see that one coming. I hope they can find a vaccine for that or something. There's riots now. Oh, a divisive election now? Shoot, good luck to you. Get back to me when you figure it out, all right? Hope everything goes well. No, God is still in control. He's still sovereign. And what's going on in our world today, he's seen from the start, from the beginning of time. He knew that this would take place, and he still has a purpose behind the present season that we're in. What is going on in our world right now is not beyond God's control and his ability to move and work. And so I want us to ask ourselves today, what is the purpose behind the present season that we're in? What is God's purpose for the state of our world right now? I want to read from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 through 7. So if you have your Bibles, you want to turn there with me. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6 through 7 says, "In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." So in this, we greatly rejoice. Could it be that the state of our world right now, as uncomfortable as it is, as painful as it may be, as sick of it as we may be of this, could it be that this is actually the greatest thing for us, that the state of our world is actually the best thing for the development of our faith and becoming who God is calling us to be? See, if real, authentic faith is the most valuable thing in our life, if it is of greater worth than gold, if it's the most valuable thing we can obtain, and real and authentic faith can come through the testing of trials, then we need to face trials and embrace discomfort with joy and with rejoicing, knowing that this is producing fruit in the most valuable part of my life. We need to recognize the necessity of trials, and we need to have a willingness to embrace some of the discomfort we're in and the new normals maybe God is bringing into our life right now. And so trials come to reveal things, to show us that our faith, or where our faith is real. And we see this principle in a lot of areas of life, really. So let's say you buy a new tool, you buy a new saw, and you're excited about this saw, and it looks like it's a great tool. But you don't know that it's a good saw until you actually use it to cut wood and actually put it to work, put it to the test. And then after you've used this saw to cut wood time and time again, and it's still getting the job done, it's still standing strong, it's doing what it's supposed to do, your confidence builds that this tool is a good tool and that, it was worth my money. You may think the new as seen on TV kitchen appliance looks pretty cool, pretty nifty, but then when you actually buy it and take it home and put it to use, you realize that there's a reason why they have to say, but wait, there's more, in order to get you to actually buy it, right? So when we put things to the test, that's when it brings out the true character behind those things. That's how we know when something is really real or if it's quality or not. So in the same way with our faith, when we see our faith put to the test, when the test of life and time comes, and we see that our faith is able to see us through to the other side, when we've experienced life and our faith has been able to hold us up through that and stand strong through that, our confidence begins to build in our faith. We begin to see, my faith is the thing that keeps me grounded, and I know that because I've faced the test. I've faced trials, and I've seen that my faith has brought me through that. So tests show where our faith is genuine and why we can put our confidence in our faith. But I also believe that testing comes to reveal where we are lacking, or maybe where our confidence has been misplaced. All of us have been to school, and I'm sure many of you have had this experience of there's a big test coming up, and you're preparing for it, whatever, you're getting ready for it, and then you walk into school, you're ready to take the test, and you're walking in with your chin high, you're ready, you're like, oh, I'm about to ace this test, it's going to be easy, I'm going to knock it out of the park, you're ready for it, you're confident going into it, and you get up, you get your test, you start filling out your answers, you're just zipping through it, you're like, oh, it's a piece of cake, and then you finish your test, and you're the first one done with your test, so you're walking up to hand it up to your teacher, giving little smirks to your classmates, slap it on the desk, and then walk back to your seat, and you're feeling good about your test, and then you go home and come back to school the next day, get your test results back, and you got a big old F on your test, and you're like, what? What happened? You thought you were about to ace this thing, and now you just got an F on it, and you failed. You're like, what went wrong there? And so you realize through taking the test that your confidence was a little misplaced in your own knowledge, your own ability, that you maybe weren't as prepared as you thought you were. You didn't really know as much as you thought, but you wouldn't have known that until you had taken the test. And so tests come to reveal areas of our life where maybe we are lacking, or where maybe our confidence has been misplaced. And then that is when we begin to engage in the uncomfortable process of refining some things, and maybe tweaking some things, and learning and growing and working on the areas where we were lacking, making some changes and some adjustments. And that process is not fun. It can be a little uncomfortable. But I'm sure many of you know and have observed in life that some of the greatest things in life, some of the most truly valuable things in life, are worth being uncomfortable for. We know that eating peanut butter and jelly for dinner every night is worth it if we can get out of debt or pay a bill that we need to pay. We realize that saying the words, I was wrong, as uncomfortable or as hard as that might be, is worth it if we can save our marriage or relationships that we're in. We realize that going on a diet and working out is worth it if we can get into shape and have healthy physical life. So we see that discomfort is just a natural part of life, and that oftentimes some of the greatest triumphs and greatest lessons that we learn come on the other side of embracing discomfort. And oftentimes the people who will experience the most growth in life are the people who are most willing to engage discomfort and be challenged. And so we need to have a readiness and a willingness to embrace discomfort and embrace trials when they come our way. Trials are so necessary for our faith, not only to show us where we can put our confidence, but maybe where we are lacking. And when we're in that process of refining, it's so natural for us to just say, oh, I just want things to go back to normal, or this is uncomfortable. We resort back to comfort so easily as humans. That's just our natural thing. We're looking, just for whatever is most comfortable, even if comfortable is not what's the best for us, right? And I've heard this phrase over and over again, just this past year, and just over 2020, even into 2021. And I've even been guilty of saying it many times, but I just hear over and over again, oh, I just can't wait to get back to normal. I can't wait for things to for everything in our world to just be done with, and I just want to get back to normal. I just want things to be normal again. I just want to get back to what was, the way the world was before all this pandemic and everything happened. And we're so caught up in just wanting to get back to normal and wanting to just get back to what was comfortable. But I'm wondering if maybe normal is not what we need. Maybe normal is not what is best for us. I want to observe just an attitude from the Israelites. in Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 through 3. So, Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 through 3. And the Israelites have just been set free from slavery in Egypt. The Lord has just in miraculous ways delivered the Israelites out of Egypt. He's parted the Red Sea. He brought plagues on Egypt, just has done incredible, miraculous things to deliver his people out of Egypt. And he's now led them into the desert. And so, Exodus chapter 16, verse 1 through 3, it says, "The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, 'If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out into this desert to starve the entire assembly to death.'" See, the Israelites were so caught up in just the comfort of even having food in their bellies, the normalcy of even having food in their bellies, that they were willing to actually go back into slavery just so that they could have some food again. They were willing to miss out on the blessings of God, and they allowed themselves to lose sight of what God was doing because they were so caught up in their current discomfort, their current suffering that they were feeling. They wanted just normalcy so bad that they were willing to sacrifice everything the Lord had just given to them, the freedom the Lord had just brought into their life. They're already looking back on where the Lord had just brought them from, and they're saying, "Why can't we just go back there? At least we had food in our bellies back there." I think oftentimes, even in America and in our lives, we allow normalcy and comfort to blind us to where the Lord is really moving and the blessings He's really trying to bring into our life. And we allow normalcy to kind of make us spiritually just lackadaisical. And when we're comfortable, it's easy for us to just kind of coast through life and just float on by. And I think it prohibits us from receiving the real work that God is wanting to do in our life. And so the Israelites failed to recognize the purpose that God was working through them being in the desert. All they could see was their immediate circumstance of, "Oh, we're in a desert. This is crappy. We're hungry. We just don't want to be here anymore." And because of that and their stubbornness and their failure to have vision and see what God was doing, they were restrained from God's blessing. They were withheld from the promised land for 40 years. They roamed in the desert because they were unwilling to be obedient and to recognize what God was doing. They were hung up on just wanting things to be normal again, wanting things to be comfortable. And so I'm wondering if God is trying to set us free from normal in our lives today. Is God, what is the normal maybe God is trying to deliver you out of? Normal for the normal for the Israelites was slavery, right? That was normal to them, and that was the normal God was trying to bring them out of. Is what normal is keeping us in spiritual deadness, in a spiritual rut? And could it be that maybe God needed to bring something as earth-shaking and rattling as a worldwide pandemic and racial unrest and division and rioting and this election that we've been seeing? Could it be that God needed to bring something so earth-shaking as those things to get us to wake up to the areas of our life where maybe we are spiritually lacking, maybe we are spiritually dead? Is He trying to bring a spiritual awakening in our lives through the discomfort of our world right now? But are we missing that because we're so caught up in, "Oh, I just want to get back to normal," or, "Oh, this is just uncomfortable and I don't like it"? I think we need to really seriously think about what is it that God is trying to work in my life in this season right now. I think we need to see that just because where God has us at doesn't look like we planned it to look or how we thought God would have accomplished His will, doesn't mean that God is not in control, right? I'm sure the Israelites, when they were in the desert, they were like, oh, God, this isn't really what we were thinking of when you said you were going to set us free from Egypt. This is a desert, where's the food? Where's the promised land? Where's the milk and honey, right? It didn't look like what they were expecting. And maybe the state of our world right now, in our human minds, it doesn't make sense to us. We're kind of like, God, pandemic and division and all this stuff, that doesn't really seem very good. I'm not sure what you're doing. Are you even still working up there? And, we can get so caught up in our external circumstances that we fail to see the ways that God is still moving and the ways that God is still sovereign. We need to see that maybe God is the so-called desert that he has us in right now. Maybe it is a part of the path that he has us on to get to the promised land of spiritual awakening, spiritual blessing, of the promised land of being refined in our faith and being able to place confidence in our faith because we have stood the test and stood the trial of life, and our faith has seen us through. I think there's immense blessing that God has for us through the season we're in right now, but we need to be willing to be faithful and to embrace what he's brought our way, and to do so with joy and rejoicing, with hope and expectation that, you know what, my God is still in control. He's still sitting on the throne. He is still sovereign. He still reigns, and his purpose still stands. He is not done yet. We need to stop having this fatalistic mindset of like, oh, this is just the end, Oh, the world is just too far gone. I don't know if we ever will get back to normal, It just seems hopeless. We're just full of despair. I think we need to live lives with hope. Hope that God is still moving, even when circumstances seem hopeless. If you all want to stand with me as I begin to just close this out. I was sitting in my kitchen the other day, a few days ago, with Pastor Brock, youth pastor, and then my dad. And my dad had just cooked us some steaks. Honestly, in all my years, all 23 years of being alive, they were some of the best steaks I've ever had. They were incredible. Some picanha. It was some good stuff. If you ever need a good steak, go to my dad, Steve McPherson. He's the steak master. But anyways, so we just enjoyed just a delicious meal, and we were sitting down just talking about life, kind of. And we were talking about this past year and just kind of, recapping on all that we had seen and been through in this past year. And we were thinking how when you look at just external circumstances, when you look at it, 2020 and even 2021 a little bit, it looks like the worst year we've ever seen, right? It kind of looks like we're thinking like, oh, what good came out of 2020? Was there anything positive to even pull out of this last year? And we were just thinking about that, and then, but then we realized as we were saying that, we were like, but then when we look at our hearts and what has been produced in our lives this past year, and the things that God has been speaking to us and doing in us, we realize that, all three of us realize that this last year, 2020, has actually been one of the most fruitful and awesome years of our life, that we've seen God's blessing and his faithfulness displayed in ways that we have not seen in a long time. I know just personally, 2020 was the best year of my life, actually. I actually saw God provide in ways that I have never seen before. I saw his faithfulness on display in ways that I have never seen. And my confidence in the Lord and his provision and just his faithfulness has increased just immensely in this past year. But if all I'm looking at is external circumstances and just what's going on in the world around me, it does seem kind of negative, It does seem like, oh, there's not a whole lot good going on. But when we really look close and look at, what is the Lord really doing in my heart? I think we see that he has incredible blessing for our lives. See, I think we need to be careful not to allow the circumstances of our world to distract us from what he's trying to do in our hearts. It's time to wake up to what God is really doing in your life right now. What refining is God trying to work in your heart through the discomfort of the season that you're in right now? What refining is God trying to bring into your life through maybe the job change you've had to go through, or the financial cuts you've had to make, or just the changes you've had to make? What new normal is God trying to usher you into? What area of your life is God trying to bring to your attention? And maybe in what ways is God trying to reveal to you the value of your faith? Maybe God is trying to just remind you of the immense value of your faith in your relationship with him, your walk with him. God is unmoved, and he's unprohibited by the circumstances of our world. And even if 2021 is 10 times worse than 2020, God is still the same. He's still in control. He's still moving. He is still sovereign, and his purpose will still be accomplished in your life. But you have to be willing to actually embrace the season that he has you in. Don't be so stubborn and caught up in what was normal or what's comfortable that you miss where he has you right now, what he's working in your life right now. Don't miss out on the blessing of God and the spiritual promised land of just spiritual blessing that he's trying to lead you into because of stubbornness or unwillingness to be uncomfortable.